Elias woke before the sun, as he always did. The thin light of the distant star had not yet reached the valley, but his body no longer needed an alarm. Years of loss and routine had trained him to rise early, when the world was quiet and memory stayed asleep a little longer. He sat up on the narrow bed inside his metal cabin and listened. Wind moved through the tall silver grass outside. Somewhere far away an old generator coughed, then fell silent again. No voices, no footsteps. Just the sound of a planet that had almost forgotten people lived on it. Elias pulled on his worn jacket and stepped outside. The colony around him was little more than a skeleton now. Empty houses stood with broken doors. Solar panels lay cracked and dark. The main road had long ago been claimed by weeds and dust. Once, hundreds of humans had lived here. Families, children, dreams of a new start. That was before the evacuation. He walked toward the storage shed to begin his daily work. He repaired tools that no one asked for, checked systems that no one used. It gave his hands something to do and kept his mind from wandering back to the day the sky filled with fire and orders came too late. As he crossed the edge of the clearing, something made him stop. At first he thought his eyes were lying to him. Beyond the line of dead trees, near the forest edge where no one ever went anymore, stood a shape that did not belong. Wooden beams leaned against each other. Sheets of metal rested on stones. A half-built wall caught the weak morning light. A house. Elias stood very still. His breath slowed. No one had built anything here in years. The recovery fleets only checked the main landing zone. No settlers had been sent back. He was sure of it. Slowly he moved closer, keeping low behind the tall grass. That was when he saw her. She was small, shorter than most humans, with pale skin that shimmered faintly like morning frost. Her hair, if it could be called that, fell in soft strands of silver blue down her back. She wore simple clothing stitched from rough fabric and old insulation sheets. Her movements were careful and focused. She lifted a beam, adjusted it, then tied it in place using fiber cable scavenged from old human supplies. Her hands moved with quiet skill. Elias felt his heart pound. An alien, not a soldier, not a raider, just a girl building a home. He should have turned back. The colony rules were clear even now. Unknown life forms were to be reported. The automated defenses still watched, even if no humans did. As if his thoughts had summoned them, a faint hum passed through the air. Elias froze. High above, a sensor drone shifted position. Its dull red light flickered on. The girl did not notice. She hummed softly to herself as she worked, unaware that the colony had just awakened. Elias felt cold fear grip his chest. He knew what came next. The systems would scan, then warn, then act. He broke into a run. "Hey," he shouted, his voice rough from disuse. "Get down, you have to move." The girl turned, eyes wide. They were large and dark, reflecting the light of the rising star. She did not scream or run. She simply stared at him, confused and afraid. A sharp mechanical sound echoed across the clearing. Panels along the old watchtower slid open. "No time," Elias muttered. He tackled her just as a warning beam sliced through the air above where she had been standing. They hit the ground hard, rolling behind a fallen tree. The girl struggled, letting out a sharp cry in a language Elias did not understand. He released her immediately and raised his hands. "I'm not hurting you," he said quickly. "I'm human. The defenses, they think you're a threat." She watched him closely, chest rising fast. Slowly she stopped pulling away. Another warning pulse flashed overhead. Elias crawled toward the emergency control box half buried near the path. He slapped the override panel and typed his old access code with shaking fingers. The hum faded. The red light dimmed. Silence returned, heavier than before. Elias leaned back against the tree, breathing hard. When he looked up, the girl was still there, hugging her knees, eyes never leaving him. They stared at each other, two survivors from different worlds. "I'm Elias," he said softly, tapping his chest. "I live here." She hesitated, then touched her own chest. "Luma," she said in broken human speech. The sound of her voice surprised him. It was gentle, almost musical. "You were building," he said, nodding toward the half-made house. "Why here?" She followed his gaze and seemed to relax a little. Carefully, she stood and brushed dirt from her clothes. "This land is quiet," she said slowly. "Quiet places are safe, or they should be." Elias felt something twist inside him. Quiet had once meant peace. Now it meant absence. "Are you alone?" he asked. She paused, then nodded. "So am I," he replied before thinking. For a moment neither spoke. The rising sun bathed the unfinished house in pale gold light. It looked fragile but stubborn, just like the girl who built it. Elias knew everything had changed. The colony was no longer empty, and whatever choice he made next would decide more than just his own future. Far above them, unseen by either, long dormant systems finished logging the morning's anomaly and quietly sent a signal into deep space. The quiet did not return after that morning. Even when the wind moved gently through the grass and the sky stayed clear, something felt awake now, watching. Elias did not go back to his cabin right away. He stayed near the trees with Luma, keeping an eye on the old watchtower and the silent sensors. The defense system had gone quiet, but he knew it would not stay blind forever. Old machines never truly forgot their rules. Luma gathered her scattered tools without being told. She worked fast, but her hands shook slightly. Every few moments she looked up at the tower as if expecting it to speak again. "They will wake again," she said softly. Elias nodded. "Yes, they always do." He studied her more closely now. In the clear light he could see faint lines along her neck and wrists that glowed when she moved. Not decoration, something natural. Her eyes followed everything, alert but not wild. She was afraid but not broken. "Why build here?" he asked again. "This place is dangerous." She thought for a long moment before answering. "Danger is everywhere," she said. "But this place has bones, old homes, old lives. That means someone cared once." The words hit him harder than he expected. He turned away so she would not see his face. Elias led her deeper into the forest, to a narrow ravine where the sensors had poor sight. He had learned these blind spots long ago. Survival taught careful habits. They sat on a fallen log while the sun climbed higher. "You should leave," he said at last. "Before someone comes." Luma shook her head. "I cannot." "Why not?" She reached into her bag and pulled out a small metal disc, cracked and dark. She placed it between them. "Ship core," she said. "Dead." Elias understood. No power, no signal, no way home. "How long have you been here?" he asked. "Many moons," she replied. "I hid, I watched. You were always alone." He stiffened. "You saw me," she nodded. "You talk to the machines, you fix broken things. You sit outside at night and look at the stars." Elias felt exposed, as if a wall had been removed from around his life. He had thought he was invisible. "You could have asked for help," he said. She lowered her eyes. "Humans fear what they do not know." He could not deny that. A distant sound rolled across the sky, low and deep. Elias' head snapped up. "That is not a storm," he said. Luma stood tense. "Human ships." "Maybe," he said. "Or scouts." The recovery fleets did not visit often, but when they did, they were thorough. They scanned. They judged. They removed problems. "Come with me," Elias said. He led her toward the old maintenance tunnels beneath the colony. The entrance was hidden under rubble and vines, forgotten by most systems. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of dust and metal. Old lights flickered weakly as they passed. "Stay here," he told her. "No matter what you hear." She looked at him, uncertainty clear on her face. "You will return." "Yes," he said, and meant it. Elias climbed out through another exit near the landing zone just as a human shuttle descended. Its engines stirred the dust, flattening the grass in wide circles. 3 figures stepped out in standard recovery armor. Clean, sharp, nothing like the worn life Elias lived. One of them, a young officer with close-cropped hair, scanned the area. "We detected a defense system override," he said. You live here alone, correct? Elias nodded. Always have. You're sure? The officer asked. No recent visitors. Elias held his gaze. His heart pounded, but his voice stayed calm. No. The officer studied him for a long moment. Then he turned to the others. Run a full scan, power usage, biological signs. Elias felt cold fear settle in his stomach. The scanners began to hum. Deep underground, Luma pressed herself against the tunnel wall, listening. The sounds of machines and voices echoed through the stone. Her hands clenched tight. She thought of the house she had started. The way Elias had thrown himself between her and the light. Humans were not all the same, she realized. Some still chose to protect. Above, a scanner chirped sharply. Sir, one soldier said, we have irregular energy readings near the forest edge. Elias' breath caught. Old equipment, he said quickly. I move parts around. Nothing alive, the officer frowned. We will check. As they turned toward the trees, the ground beneath them shuddered. A sudden burst of steam erupted from a nearby vent, blinding sensors and forcing the soldiers back. What was that? The officer demanded. Elias looked as surprised as they were. Old pressure line, he said. Unstable. The truth was simpler. Ren, the old mechanic who refused to leave the colony years ago, had just saved them all. Hidden behind a broken wall, Ren gave a weak grin and closed the manual valve. He had seen the shuttle come down and guessed trouble would follow. The delay was short, but it was enough. The officer cursed softly. We're low on time. Log the incident. We'll return with a full team. The shuttle lifted off, its shadow passing once more over the silent land. When the sky was clear again, Elias ran. He reached the tunnel and called softly. Luma. She emerged slowly, eyes shining with relief. They will come back, she said. Yes, Elias replied. Soon. They stood together in the dim light, knowing the quiet was gone for good. Above them, the half-built house waited, unfinished, but no longer alone. The night felt heavier after the shuttle left. The stars were bright, but they did not bring comfort. Elias stood outside his cabin, watching the dark sky, listening for sounds that did not belong. Engines, signals, anything. Behind him, the forest was quiet. Luma stayed hidden until he came for her. When he did, she followed without question. They moved carefully, using paths Elias had memorized over the years. Broken lights and fallen walls became cover. Silence became their shield. They reached the half-built house just before dawn. In the early light, it looked even smaller than before. Thin walls, gaps where wind could pass through, but it stood. It had not been taken by the night or the patrol. Luma touched one of the beams gently. It is still here, she said. Elias nodded. For now. They worked without speaking at first. Elias brought tools from his cabin, old panels, insulation sheets, a cracked power cell that still held some life. Luma showed him how to bind materials using fibers from plants Elias had always ignored. Together, they made something stronger than either could alone. As they worked, Elias felt something strange. Purpose. Not the dull routine he had lived with, but a reason that reached forward instead of back. By midday, the house had a roof. Ren arrived in the afternoon, limping slightly, his gray hair tied back with a strip of cloth. He stopped when he saw Luma. Well, he said slowly, that explains a lot. Elias stepped between them out of habit. She's with me. Ren raised his hands. Easy, I'm too old to fight ghosts. Luma studied Ren with open curiosity. Another human, she said. Last I checked, Ren replied with a weak smile. Elias explained everything. The girl, the defenses, the patrol. Ren listened without interrupting. When Elias finished, the old man sighed. They always come back, he said. Rules matter more than lives to those people. What do we do? Elias asked. Ren looked at the house. We make it disappear, or we make it worth protecting. Luma tilted her head. How does a house protect? It doesn't, Ren said, but what it stands for might. That night, they expanded the structure downward instead of outward. Ren knew the old colony schematics. Beneath the house, forgotten storage rooms connected to deeper tunnels. Elias and Luma worked while Ren guided. They turned the house into a shell, a mask hiding something stronger below. While they worked, Luma spoke of her people, not in long stories but small pieces. How they moved from world to world, how they shared space instead of claiming it, how they once sheltered humans fleeing a war humans barely remembered now. "They saved us," Elias asked quietly. "Yes," she said, "but history is fragile. It breaks when no one carries it." Elias felt shame settle deep in his chest. The next morning a new sound reached the colony. Not engines, footsteps. Elias climbed the watchtower with binoculars. A lone figure moved along the old road, careful but not hiding. Human, young, wearing scout gear. "Someone's here," Elias said. Ren cursed under his breath. Too soon. The scout reached the edge of the clearing and stopped. He removed his helmet, revealing a tired face and uncertain eyes. "I'm not here to arrest anyone," the young man called out. "My name is Kale. I volunteered for recon." Elias descended slowly, keeping his hands visible. "You shouldn't be here," Elias said. Kale nodded. "That's what they said about you too." They talked at a distance at first. Kale admitted he did not trust the orders fully. The patrol report had bothered him. Energy spikes, missing data, things hidden. "I wanted to see for myself," Kale said. Luma watched from the tree line unseen. "You found nothing," Elias said firmly. Kale looked past him, at the forest, at the house. "You're a bad liar," Kale said quietly. Before Elias could respond, Kale's scanner beeped once. Then again, Kale's face changed. "You're not alone." Elias moved fast. "Listen to me. Whatever you think you found, walk away." Kale hesitated. "If I report this, command will come in force." "Then don't," Elias said, "just this once." Silence stretched between them. Then the ground trembled, not from above, from below. A deep vibration rolled through the colony, setting off old alarms and shaking loose debris. Luma stumbled out of hiding as the earth split open near the landing zone. A massive structure rose from beneath the ground, ancient and black, covered in symbols that glowed faintly red. Kale stared in shock. "That's not human." "No," Ren said, emerging beside them. "And it's been sleeping longer than any of us." The structure pulsed once, sending a wave through the air. Far above, space answered. Lights appeared in the sky, not human, not friendly. Luma whispered, fear clear in her voice. "They found us." Elias looked at the house. At the girl, at the young scout who now understood too much. The colony was no longer just a forgotten place. It was a target. The sky did not stay dark for long. Strange lights moved behind the clouds, slow and patient, like hunters circling wounded prey. Elias felt the weight of the moment settle into his bones. Running was no longer an option. Kale lowered his scanner, his hands shaking. "Those ships," he said, "they're not on any chart." Ren stared at the rising structure near the landing zone. "That thing under the ground," he muttered. "I always wondered why the colony power readings never made sense." Luma stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the glowing symbols. "It is a signal corps," she said. "Old, very old." Elias turned to her. "What does that mean?" "It means this world was marked," she replied, "long before humans came." A low sound rolled across the land. The alien structure pulsed again, brighter this time. The symbols flared, sending a beam straight into the sky. Kale swallowed hard. "You're telling me we woke something that calls monsters?" "Not monsters," Luma said softly. "Collectors." The word hung in the air. Ren broke the silence. "Then we shut it down." Kale looked at him. "With what harsh language?" Elias stepped closer to the structure. He felt a strange pull, like the machine was listening. "It reacted when the patrol scanned the area," he said. "Power, signals." "Maybe it responds to human systems." Luma nodded. "It was designed to answer many kinds of minds. That was its purpose." The ground shook again, harder this time. In the sky, one of the ships moved lower, its shape becoming clearer. Long, sharp, nothing built for comfort. "We don't have much time," Kale said. Elias made a decision. "Kale," he said, "if you leave now and report this, they will glass this place. No questions." Kale knew it was true. He clenched his jaw. "And if I stay, you become part of it," Elias said. "Whatever happens next." Kale looked at the house near the forest, at Ren, at Luma. Finally, he nodded. "Then I stay." They moved fast. Ren led them to an old control hub beneath the landing zone. Dust filled the air as they forced open a sealed hatch. Inside, ancient systems sat beside human tech, woven together in ways Elias had never seen. The walls hummed faintly. Luma approached a central console. When she touched it, the symbols on her skin glowed brighter, matching the light of the machine. "It recognizes me," she said. Outside, a beam of light struck the ground, carving molten glass into the soil. The collectors were testing the planet. Ren worked the human side of the console. "I can reroute power," he said, "but I need time." "You don't have much," Kale said, watching the sky feed on his visor. Elias stood between Luma and the entrance, holding an old rifle that might as well have been a stick against what was coming. Another blast hit, closer this time. The colony shook. Buildings collapsed in the distance. "They're looking for the signal," Luma said. "If we turn it off, they may leave." "And if we can't?" Elias asked. Luma looked at him. "Then they will take everything, including us." The console flared suddenly. Ren shouted, "Power spike." The structure above screamed, a sound that felt like metal tearing through bone. The beam into the sky flickered. Outside, one of the alien ships shifted position, clearly alarmed. Kale smiled grimly. "We got their attention." But the machine resisted, systems locked. Energy surged back, stronger than before. "I can't hold it," Ren said. "It's fighting me." Luma stepped fully into the light of the console. "Then I will speak to it," she said. Elias grabbed her arm. "It could kill you." She met his eyes calmly. "This is what my people were made for." Before he could stop her, she placed both hands on the core. The glow exploded outward, throwing everyone back. For a moment, there was only white light and silence. Then the signal beam vanished. In the sky, the collectors' ships hesitated, but instead of leaving, they began to descend faster. Kale stared in horror. "They're angry." Elias pulled himself to his feet. Outside, the house near the forest still stood, fragile but defiant. "They're coming anyway," he said. "Then we make our stand here." Above them, the first enemy craft broke through the clouds, weapons charging. The choice had been made. Now it was time to see what humanity and those who stood with them would become. The first impact shook the ground like the world itself was breaking. Dirt and stone flew into the air as the enemy craft fired again, tearing through the empty landing zone. The sound was so loud Elias could feel it in his chest. Smoke rose across the colony. "They're not leaving," Kale said, his voice tight. "They want what's here." Elias looked at Luma. She was on her knees, breathing hard, the glow on her skin slowly fading. He helped her stand. "You should run," he said quietly. She shook her head. "This world already chose us." Ren limped up beside them, holding a small device wired from spare parts. "I can't shut the core down," he said, "but I can make it scream." Elias understood. "A beacon." "Not just any beacon," Ren replied. "One that tells every nearby system that this place is not unguarded." Kale looked at him sharply. "Human fleets will hear that." "So will others," Ren said. "Friends, old debts." Another blast hit closer. The half-built house near the forest shook but did not fall. Its simple walls held. Elias made the call, "Do it." Ren activated the device. The ground core howled, sending a wide signal into space. Not a call for help, a declaration. The collectors reacted immediately. Smaller craft broke off, descending fast. Figures emerged, tall and armored, moving with cold purpose. Elias fired first. The old rifle kicked hard, but the shot struck true, slowing one attacker. Kale followed, using his scout weapon with practiced aim. They fought from behind broken walls and fallen metal, using the colony they once abandoned as cover. Luma moved among them, her hands glowing softly as she strengthened shields made from scrap and alien tech. Each time a blast struck near the house, it bent away, as if the structure itself refused to break. "They don't understand this," Luma said between breaths. "They don't understand staying." The battle felt endless. Every moment stretched thin. Elias thought of the years he had spent alone, waiting for something to matter again. Now it did. Then the sky changed. Bright shapes tore through space, dropping out of warp with thunderous light. Human warships, old designs but powerful. The collectors turned to face the new threat, their formation breaking. Kale laughed in disbelief. They came. More ships followed, not all human. Some were small and curved, others wide and strange, allies answering Ren's signal. The fight in the sky was short but fierce. Light filled the clouds. Explosions echoed like distant storms. One by one, the collector's ships fell back, then fled. Silence returned slowly. Smoke drifted away. Fires died down. The ground stopped shaking. Elias lowered his weapon. His hands trembled, but he was still standing. Human troops arrived soon after, but this time they did not come with threats. Their commanders listened. They saw the house. They saw the core. They saw Luma standing openly beside Elias. No one raised a weapon. Days passed. The colony changed. It was no longer marked for removal. It was reclassified, shared ground, protected space. The ancient core was sealed, no longer a beacon for hunters, but a shield powered by many minds working together. The house near the forest was finished at last. Strong walls, warm light inside. Elias watched as children played outside weeks later. Human children, alien children. Luma stood among them, smiling in a way he had never seen before. Ren sat nearby, pretending not to watch, pretending his eyes were not wet. Kale chose to stay. He helped rebuild roads instead of scanning for threats. One evening, as the stars came out, Elias sat beside the house with Luma. "This place was empty once," he said. She nodded. "Now it is full." Elias looked at the home they had built, not just from wood and metal, but from choice and courage. For the first time since his loss, the future did not feel like something to fear. It felt like family. Widowed human sees alien girl building a house. Hope for family rekindled, HFY.